What you did mention, though, Scott, was about a child meant to be sympathetic. And our last film has a child that I believe is meant to be sympathetic, but given that I wanted to boot that child into the sun, it's perhaps best that you're introducing Minari and not me.
Very harsh. Yes, in Minari. Minari, where the Korean-American Yi family become surely the first and only people to move from California to Arkansas. I suppose it was acceptable in the 80s. Steve Yeun's Jacob Yi seeks a new life as a farmer of Korean vegetables to cater for the increasing number of Korean immigrants to the country. Although until that's up and running, he and his wife, Han Yuri's Monica, won't give up their day jobs as chicken sexing, which it says here is definitely a real job and won't get you put in some kind of register. Monica's less enthusiastic about the whole upping sticks and moving to the sticks deal, and even less so about their trailer home and the distance from the nearest hospital when their youngest, Alan Kim's David G, has a heart condition. Arguably hard as done by, but least analysed, is elder sister Noel Kate Cho's Anne Yi, who's saddled with a lot of babysitting despite being a baby herself. Setting up a farm is naturally a great deal of hard work and is not without its challenges, and it's these challenges, or rather the deleterious effects these have on family dynamics, particularly Monica and Steve's relationship, that is the central concern of the piece. Further spice is added when Monica's mother, Yoon Yoo Jung's Sunja, arrives from Korea, sharing a room with David, much to his displeasure, and there's also some local colour in the form of the eccentric Korean war vet and now part-time farmhand Will Patton's Paul. Not knowing anything much about this going in, I suppose I was expecting racism to be a larger part of the story, so it's refreshing to see that by and large it very much isn't. Shame this week's real-life events don't have quite the same positivity, but here at least instead it's a tale of immigrant experience, hard work and human relationships, inspired by director Lee Isaac Chung's own experiences. Much like The Mauritanian, I don't have all that much negative to say about it, but at the same time I can't get all that excited about it. Mm-hmm. I'm beginning to think this is more of a me problem than an it problem, particularly given that my only niggle with the film is that Jacob and Monica's repeated motif of their relationship saving each other is hit rather too squarely on the nose by events at the film's conclusion. I suppose given the origins of it, comparisons with Parasite are invited, although a closer match on at least some levels is Shoplifters, and if those are the comparison guns you're pulling out of the armoury, then I suppose it must be advancing the war effort on some front. I'm not quite sure where that train of thought is trundling towards, but suffice to say, it's all very efficiently told, well acted on the cast, and I thought especially the young ones. So no huge complaints with it, so I'd certainly recommend it. Yes, that's a borderline coherent caught. That'll do to wrap it up. Drew, why do you hate kids so much?
Oh, I hate everybody, Scott. It's easier that way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought the kid's acting was good. I wanted to put the character into the sun.
Yeah.
I just thought he was a little brat. I didn't like him at all. But if he was meant to be a brat, then well acted, that kid.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned Shoplifters. Shoplifters was very much in my head watching this, except Shoplifters is superb. And this is fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. I didn't resent my time with it, although I very much resented the ending. So I'd heard, and I didn't know a great deal about it. This is a film I'd picked to watch largely off of the buzz it's getting. It's getting all sorts of awards. It's expected to continue getting them in the next couple of weeks. We're deep into award season now. And again, there's always a danger to that, but it's a bee's knees. And I thought, it's kind of, even just the idea of it being in a mixture of Korean and English, but a Korean family kind of isolated within the United States. This is quite interesting, and there's some interesting things in there. And it was rather refreshing, particularly in a place like Arkansas, or at least the reputation Arkansas has, that racism really wasn't in it at all.
Yeah.
That was nice, particularly given this was 1980s Arkansas.
Yeah.
So that was really quite refreshing, and it's kind of like, that's not the point of it. It wasn't even like particularly anti-immigrant or anything, not just like a skin colour. It's like, so that's all quite good, and it's just this family struggling to... But at the same time, I didn't find it particularly remarkable.
Yeah.
It's well acted enough, but you're right again, like the metaphor of the relationship being a bit too on the nose there.
Yeah.
And then there are two things that happen right at the end. And I suppose say that if we're probably finished now, if you don't want to hear how the film ends, stop now, skip ahead. Just because I want to quickly mention these, and I don't want to give anything away to people who, a film worth seeing. But the events at the end, Scott, I suppose it's even given it away all that much, but like after the very very conspicuously talk about how nonsensical water dowsing is.
Yeah.
Divination. Then at the end, suddenly they're doing that. Is that like, what was that supposed to be saying? That really made me angry. Also, like, are they saying that that was actually right all along? Or is that kind of part of being in Arkansas, that they accept that kind of nonsense? Or like, what was that saying that suddenly that's what they're doing? Given that their scientific method, more scientific method, had worked.
Yeah.
Just like that particular one dried up, well, we just use the same method again in a different place, you'll be fine, I think. See, I don't know what I was saying, but also, like, this couple's had all this trouble. They're on the point of splitting up. They probably should. They're not happy. And then suddenly, like that, oh no, everything's happened. We're all together now, working together. Like, what?
Yeah.
that just seemed to come out of nowhere. That didn't seem earned. That didn't seem to follow on with what had happened before. So either they're saying they're going to be miserable, they decided to be miserable together for some reason, or it was like, oh no, the fire magically fixed everything.
Yeah. It's a bit of a jump. Yeah.
I did also, this only thing I meant to mention is the name. I was wondering what the name meant. Obviously it was some sort of metaphor, and the Minari is some kind of Asian parsley.
Yeah.
It's got a few different names. It's an Asian parsley and kind of grows anywhere. And I thought it was like, well, was that the idea? It's like it can grow anywhere, and is that what the family are doing or something? And no, apparently like the main metaphor there is that it grows very strongly in the second season after it's died and come back. It's like, okay, your metaphor works, but your film doesn't actually support that happening to the family because it makes no sense they would do that.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like there's missing scenes. And I was vaguely frustrated by that, which is why it's not special. It's a good film. It's just nothing special.
Yeah, I broadly agree with that. It's worth putting on your list, but I can't get all that excited about it. It's good, but...
Yes, I don't think this is a you problem, Scott. I don't think it's... Because I'm feeling so similarly.
Yeah.
It's not brilliant. It's fine. It's not brilliant. And, I mean, not to the extent I have been with many other films, but it's one of those times I think, what's all the buzz about?
Yeah.
It's not all that great.
Yeah, I know it's been a lean couple of years for films for a number of very obvious reasons, but yeah, it's still think there's got to be something a bit better than this, but c'est la vie. Which
was probably one of the plants to grew.
Wah.